Good morning, Trinity family, and welcome back to some of our digital content following the Disciplines of a Disciple series. It's hard to believe that it's been 5 weeks since we began this series, and we've looked at quite a variety of disciplines. And as always, you can find the sermons here on Facebook and YouTube, and you can find these follow-up videos there as well. But we finished the series with the idea of Sabbath and rest. Now, in the sermon, I had the privilege of looking at this biblical practice, this practice that not only Jesus, but God the Father modeled for us to emulate. We discussed that in a Sabbath, we find true rest, and that a Sabbath isn't doing nothing, but rather a Sabbath is doing something with intent, and that intent being to find that true rest, which we can only find through God. Now, about a year ago, about 9 months ago, really, Pastor John and I got to sit down and discuss how do we Sabbath and what does a Sabbath look like. And I feel there's no reason for me to reinvent the wheel, or in this case, to restate all the great truths that Pastor John gave us. So instead, I'm going to have a link to that video here. So you can click on that after finishing this one. But then just check out what John had for us. And I will give you a brief summary of that if you don't have time to watch it yet. But I highly recommend you take that time. It's only, I think, about a 20-minute video, but it is amazing at what John helps us understand about Sabbathing. The key points that you'll see in that video, and I'll save the fleshing out of these points for John there, but are these ideas that as we Sabbath, we need to stop. We stop whatever it is that we do for a living. A Sabbath involves taking time to rest, taking time away from the demands, the labor of our work. And with that stop, we need to slow down. We need to take this day and just do things simply, do things slowly. Our Sabbath shouldn't be a day where we're rushing from point A to task B to demand C. We should be able to just stroll. We should be able to pause and reflect. There shouldn't be immense demands on us as we seek that time of Sabbath. As we stop, as we slow down, we need to remember God. So whatever it is that we're doing over our Sabbath, how can we remember God throughout? Pastor John shares a story in that video of walking through some woods and just reflecting and remembering God and being awed and overjoyed at creation in that. What might you be able to do, and how can you bring God into that so that you may remember Him as you seek this rest? And as we remember God, how can we rejoice to God? I gave a challenge, whatever day that you're able to set aside, what if every hour you paused and rejoiced for whatever you had done the hour previously? Whether it be spending time indoors, outdoors, alone, with others, eating, drinking, sleeping, how can you thank God for that hour and the ability to enjoy whatever task it was you did in that time? And how might that day of constant rejoicing change our worldview, change our mindset, and change how we see those things around us? Because after all, the goal and the idea of this day of rest, this day set aside, is that it helps us be prepared for the other days. By taking a day to rest in God, we can be more intentional and effective in the work and service that we do those other days of the week. So a final word before you go and watch that interview with Pastor John. I gave an illustration Sunday using a phone, something most of us have on us far too often. I mentioned that my phone does not have great battery quality. I unplugged it this morning at about 7. I am now down to 48% at 12:40. I film these videos at 12:40. Now you know that. So in 5, almost 6 hours, I've lost about 50%. It's doing better than Sunday. But if I have to make some important phone calls tonight, my phone's not going to last that long. It'll be dead before I leave the office this afternoon. But if I need to make an important call, I need my battery to last. So I could turn my phone off. And now this evening, 6, 7 o'clock rolls around, I'll turn my phone back on, I'll start making those calls. but my battery is not any better off than it was when I turned my phone off. If it's at 48% now, then when I turn it back on at 6 o'clock, it'll again be at 48%. What I need to do is recharge my phone for my phone to function properly, to be able to handle the demands that I lay upon it. The same is true of us. Too often when we Sabbath, I'm going to throw that in air quotes, we're not really resting. We're turning ourselves off. We're not recharging. We're not rejuvenating. We're just off. So the challenge for you as you go and you watch that interview with Pastor John, think, what can I do this week to be recharged by God? On my Sabbath, how can I do more than binge watch the newest season of whatever my addiction is, or the new movie that just came out on DVD? What can I do that'll help me find true rest? And that'll vary for all of us. For some of us, that might be playing board games. Others, it might be reading a book. Others might be going on a walk or gardening or just hanging out with friends and family. But no matter what it is, how can you remember God in the midst of it? How can you do it slowly? And how can you rejoice amongst that? So again, this is a bit of a shorter video than normal because I want to free up that time for you to go watch this interview with Pastor John. So please go do that. The link will be in the description. And as always, God bless.